Now, types of variables. The first one is called as local variables. And the second one is called as instance variables. And third one is called as static variables. Now, anybody, what do you remember local variables? What do you remember local variables?
Inside body of the method.
Okay. The variable which is declared inside the body of the method or constructor, inside the body of the method or constructor, or block of code is called a local variable. Now, inside the class, actually we'll say it as inside the class, and outside the method, actually we'll say that outside method. Whatever variable you declared, whatever the variable be declared outside the method, which can be accessible to all the methods, and which can be accessible to all the methods. For example, say sample example. For example, I'm declaring int x comma y comma z. I'm declaring three variables. Now, whenever you compile a program, we need to write a program with a class name, something like class test, right? Now, under that, I'm going to declare public void, something like addition. Now, I'm going to declare one more method. I return some code, something like body of the code, code one, and I've been closed with process. Again, what I'm doing, I'm going to create now. Whatever variable you've been declared outside the method, these variables can be called to this method. Similarly, it can be called to the second method also. It can be called to the second method also. This is called as a local variable. Actually, we'll call it as a public. Is it correct? Is it correct or not? Anybody is having a doubt? So the local variables can also be called as a public variables. Global variables. Is it local variables is correct or not? I'm saying. Is it correct?
It should declare inside the method.
It should declare inside the method. So what we can do is just you can copy that and we can call inside the method. If you declare these variables, now it can be accessible only to this method and which cannot be called to any other method. So these local variables are also called as a private, not a public. Global variables are public and local variables are called as a private. So if the variables are declared inside the method, which can be accessible only to this method and which cannot be called to any other method, that is called local variables. Local variables can also called as a private, Sir, if I declared outside the method, what will happen? If you have declared these variables outside the method, those are called as global variables, mean that these variable can be accessible to this method, Similarly, those variables are also declared, can be accessible to this method. These are called global variables. So now presently we are working on local variables now. So variables which are declared inside the method can be accessible only to that method and which cannot be called to any other method. That is called as a local variables. Called as a local variables. So now local variables can be used inside the method or a function or a method or a class. Now these local variables can be a static variable. What do you mean by static variable? Anybody?
Constant value.
Constant value. Okay.
Value.
Anybody? 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 No idea?
No idea.
Static variable are nothing but a constant, madam, which can be accessible only to that method and which cannot be accessible to any other method. For example, you want to perform the addition, subtraction, and division. You need to declare x comma y comma z, but you have declared x comma y comma z only in the addition. That variables cannot be used for remaining methods. That is a static. That is a static only to that method. So the local variables can also called as local variables. Local variables are also known as
Public.
known as static variables. Not public, madam. These are all private, right? Private, madam. Global variables. Global variables are also known as public. Known as public. So public. Now, can you give an example for this? How we are going to use the local variables and global variables? Now, see. Now I declaring the values like now. So here I'm going to declare. So if in local variables, I'm going to declare inside the method itself. Now what I'm going to do, just right click on the package, go to new, click on the class and mention as local variables, local LV. And I'm not selecting any public static void main, just there is without the main method, just I'm going to click OK now. So this is the method, right? Now inside this class, what is your class is LV class. Under that, I'm going to declare the variables of x comma y comma z. Do I need to declare? First of all, I need to create a method, right? So public void addition. Under the addition, I'm going to use int x comma y comma z. Now, right? Now x equal to 10. You can declare there only. Y equal to 20. Z equal to x plus y. So system.out.println z. Okay, z. Now I want to compile the program. So there is no main method, right? There is no main method. You can create your own method. Public, static, void, main, string comma, args. Okay, now got it? Anybody? Any doubts?
No.
No,
Now,
sir.
what is your
Clear.
class name here? What is your class name?
LV.
LV.
So I'm going to create an object for the class name LV, A equal to new LV, since I want to compile the method which is present in the class. In the main method, I'm going to create an object for the class. Using that object, I'm going to call the method a dot. What is the method here? A dot add.
Addition.
A dot addition. So what I'm doing, I've been creating a method. I've been creating a where I declared values inside the method, and then in the main method, I'm going to create an object for the class. Using that object A, I'm going to call the method. Which method? Addition. So now, if you compile it, so result is 30, right? So 10 plus 20 equal to 30. Now, sir, I have one more method. Can this variables can be called to the second method? We'll try with that. So public void subtraction. Under that, so I'm not declaring that z equal to x minus y, system dot out dot println z. So I'm going to declare z semicolon. Now I'm going to call the same method a dot subtraction, save the file. Now if I compile that automatically, it throws an error. Since see, what is the error we are getting out? What kind of error we are getting out? See, z cannot be resolved to a variable, x cannot be, y cannot be. Since these are all local variables, only can be accessible only for addition. For the subtraction, you cannot call those variables. So if you are going to call them, that should be global variable. So now instead of that, so I'm going to declare these methods outside the method. So if I declare them, now these variables can be called to this method as well as to this method also. To this method also. Now what is the error? Can anybody tell what is the error inside that? What is the error we are having? What kind of error we are throwing?
It is taking Z as int.
Now, if we compile this, will this works? Int x equal to 10, int y equal to, will this works?
Yes.
Sure?
In
Okay, I'll show you this. Now, I'm giving int x equal to 10, y equal to 20. So automatically it will come to the addition and z equal to 10 plus 20, z equal to x minus 10. So just got it? Addition is 30 and the subtraction is minus 10. So these are called global variables, or we can also call it as a public variables, which can be accessible to this method and also to other method. So if you want to create one more method, you can create and you can call those methods to the third method also. So I'm going to use addition, subtraction, and multiplication. X star y. X star y. So I'm going to declare and here I'm going to call the method a dot multiplication. A dot multiplication. If I compile it, automatically these variables to be called for addition, subtraction, and multiplication. These are called global variables or instance variables. Is it correct? Can we call these global variables as instance variables? Is it correct or not?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, instance variables are also called as a public. No, local variables are also called as a private, or called as a private. So that's the difference between the instance variables and the local variables and the local variables.
Global also called as the public, no?
Yes, that's it. Global also called as a public one. Say written global variables are also known as public. Okay. Is there any other program to write for this? Now, right now. So these are the difference between local variables and global variables. Now, based on that variables, we are having some user inputs also there. So we are declared the variable inside the method. We are declaring here and we are assigning the values to the variables and we are going to call those variables. Now, without assigning the values, the user can input the values. The user can input the values. Those are called as user input values. So user inputs in Java. What are those user inputs? Please enter your name. Please enter your password. So that is the user needs to enter some values, right? So those are called as actually called as a user inputs. These user inputs can be done by using a function called a scanner. Scanner is a predefined defined class which is used to take user inputs from the in Java. User inputs in Java. So we need to enter some values. Right. So without, we mean that we need to create an object for this Java scanner, and using that object, we can assign to the different types of data types where we can assign it. Now, this scanner class is defined inside the Java util package. Mean that it is a utility function. A Java is a scanner is a Java utility function. Whenever you install the Java, automatically these jar files are being stored. So those we always called as the keywords. Those we can also call it as a predefined, or these are all called system defined also. We can say it as a system defined function. Next, this scanner consists of multiple or consists of many functions to take inputs or to take user inputs. There are many functions are there. There are nothing but we can give user can give the integer values, user can give double values, you can use the single value, user can give the character values, user can give the string values, user can give long, short, different types of data types where the user needs to specify by his own. Now, there are different functions are there. The first function is called as next int. We'll call it as a next int. Next int is a function which is used to read the integer values by the user. So we are giving, if you want to give any integer value, we need to use a function called next int. Okay, next int is used to read integer values from the user. Next float, will example see out, right? Next float, to read the float values from the user. If you want to read float values, nothing but decimal values, marks, total marks, percentage. There we use float values. So we use next float. Next double. To read double values from the user. You may say the double values. Double is nothing but after decimal, it can be any number of values. Actually, we'll call after decimal, we'll call it as mantissa. Can we call mantissa? No. The before decimal is called mantissa and after decimal is called exponent values. We call it as a exponent values. So after decimal, it can accept any number of values. Actually, we call it double. We call it as a double. Next, we'll see once you come to the operators. I'll tell you the data types. Okay, next is nothing but to read the string values without any spaces. String values without the spaces. Without any spaces, if you give testing tools, string testing tools equal to, there should not be space between the testing and tools. Testing tools equal to selenium. Testing tools equal to manual. Testing tools is a string, and testing and the name should not be, there should not be any space between that. In that case, we used to have next function. Next line is used to read string values from the user. Next short, we use next short to read short values from the user. That's all. Now, in scenarios, we usually used to work with the integers. One is integers. Second one, we used to have your float values, we'll call double. In Java, you don't need to use any float or single or long or short. We directly use as a double. After the decimal, it can be any number of values. The double. We usually used to work with the double characters. Next, we are going to use string values. Either you can use next or next line. The difference is, in the next, it should not accept any spaces for declaring any value to the variable. Next line is to display the string values. I'll show the difference then get it. Now we'll see sample program. Using these commands, we'll try to write a program. First of all, I want to add 2 integers, and that value should be stored in the third variable. So I'm going to declare 2 variables. I'm going to assign the values to A and B, and I want to store them in the variable C. Previously, what we have done is just x equal to 10, y equal to 20, just to given them. Here we need to enter it by the user function. See now, write a program to enter 2 integer values using scanner and get the third value and get the sum and store them using third variable, Now for that, so I'm going to create a class. Right click on the package, go to new, click on the class and mention as scan1, something like scan1. So I'm going to declare, do we require? Yes, I'll select the public static void main, click finish. Now here I'm going to use, whenever we want to use using the scanner, we need to create an object for the scanner. Is it audible to all? Any doubts?
No.
No.
Okay. What about others? I can hear only few members.
No doubts. No doubts.
No doubts.
Okay.
No.
So we are going to use scanner SC equal to new scanner of system.in. What is the meaning of this? Scanner is a predefined function or in a Java library which is used for the user inputs. Using the scanner, I'm going to create a variable called SC. New is an instance of a class. System.in is an utility function in Java. Utility in Java. Now, place the cursor to the scanner. Import scanner java.utility. Right. I created an object for scanner. Now I'm declaring variables int x comma y comma z. I declared 3 variables x comma y comma z. Now I'm going to input the values for a and b, and the result should be shown in the C. Okay. Now for that, system dot out dot println enter the value. We can write anything inside that. Enter the first value. Okay, done. Now what is the variable created? What is the first value? X. Okay, na? X equal to, what is the scanner variable? What is the scanner variable? SC, right?
Yes.
Dot. What is the, if you want to enter the user inputs for this integer, what is the function we use? Next int. Okay, na? So user is going to enter the integer values by using the scanner and is being storing in the variable X. Now, so system dot out dot println the value which you entered is right. So first it will get the value of X. So enter the value of X value. Similarly, I'm going to enter the second value also. So system dot println enter the second value. Now we need to declare y equal to sc dot next enter. So with the value which you entered is y value. So I'm inputting the values of X and Y. Now these values I'm going to make the combined, mean I'm going to add that. So z equal to X plus Y. So system dot out dot println the sum of X and Y are plus Z. That's all. Now I'm going to compile it. Just run the program. First it will ask you, enter the first value 12. Enter the second value 23. Got it? Is it okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is the scanner function. This is called as a scanner function using 2 values. Adding 2 values and storing. Right? Now, can we add 2 strings using scanner? Yes, we can add it. So I'm going to declare instead of string, I'm going to declare instead of integer, I'm going to declare a string x comma y comma z, and instead of int, what we can do? We can give only next. Next is a function which is used to input the string values by the user. Okay. So enter your first name. The name which you entered is, your first name is Now, enter your last name. So instead of next in, we can change it to next. And here I'm going to use the your last name is save that. Now we can add this to, right? Now the name which you entered is the name which you entered is. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to run this. So please enter your first name, Balakrishna. Enter your last name, Eddanapudi, something like, okay. So what is your name? You entered is Balakrishna Eddanapudi. So this is how you are going to use. So user input values. This is called we can enter the integers, you can enter the strings. Now, can we do it with float? Yes, we can do it. Float also the same thing, right? Got it?
Yes.
String values using scanner next function. Right? Now, the same thing which you can work with the string, double string. No, string is over. Now we'll try to work with a double. So double. Now here, instead of next, what we can do? Next double. Dot next double. Next, enter the first name or first value. First mark. First mark. Enter your first mark. So your first mark is